11 minutes past the top of the hour. Karibu sana. This is Morning Cafe, specifically Biashara Tuesday. That particular hour where we focus on your finances and just make sure that we bring experts to you and have very meaningful conversations about your wallet, because we really need to understand as a society how to better your finances. This particular day, we touch on a conversation that so many people really try to get into, but then they say it is difficult. Insurance and financial planning. Our guest this particular day, Anthony Mwangi, he is an insurance expert, definitely not a new face to this Biashara Tuesday. And we would like to know from you, do you consider insurance as a priority in your financial planning? Either you're employed or not, but then that whole bit of actually making sure that in your financial planning, there is insurance cover in it. Do you consider that as a priority? 22047 is our SMS number. 0793-267-279 is our WhatsApp number. Tutafurahia sana seeing your feedback. Mr. Mwangi sir, karibu sana.
Thank you very much for having me this morning.
And a very good morning to you. Even as we start this particular conversation, just running through some numbers so that you can help us understand the broader conversation of insurance uptake in the country before now we dive into individual people and how, and particularly even the young people and how they're taking up insurance. According to a 2023 economic survey, shows that Kenya's insurance penetration is up 2.3%. When you compare to sub-Saharan countries like South Africa at 12%. This really goes to show, and this is something that even the Insurance Regulatory Authority has been urging Kenyans, take up insurance. Why do you think that is the case, that we're still having a very low insurance uptake?
Thank you very much. And I think that is a very pertinent question that keeps on coming every other day. But let me start by saying, even as it sounds as 2.3%, we are number 3 in the African continent.
Okay.
Perhaps that just tells you, therefore, that as a continent, there is something that then we are not doing right. Because even 2.3% penetration to the GDP, we are only at 2.3%, and we are number 3 in Africa.
Yes.
In fact, if you remove, I believe you remove the last expense cover from South Africa, we might actually be ahead of them. Mm-hmm. So I think, therefore, I would just say that as a continent, we are not doing very well. Perhaps the survey should even, I'm sure there are those data that we are actually contributing less than 5% of the global insurance uptake. So yes, we really are not doing what we should be able to do, comparing particularly with the financial sector where we fall, the pensions, the banking, the SACCOs and stuff like that. We are not actually doing very well. There are prospects that we can do better, but certainly we need to do better than that. Okay. I think I keep on saying, and I will repeat again, one of the challenges that I think I find in the insurance industry is that when is the first time that you had insurance? Most likely perhaps when you're employed. Yes. When you're going to buy your first car, when perhaps you are here, you are told, give us a list of your dependents for insurance. That perhaps could have been the first time that you are, properly. Mm-hmm. Other than as a byword, that could only be the only time that you had insurance. Then you have gone through a whole system of education. What is our training? Do we train our people properly? For instance, in terms of, today we're talking about financial planning. Do we actually tell people at a very early age when we need to start that planning that we're talking about? I mean, we neglect to mention those things in our planning, in our education system. We will continue having this conversation until cows come home.
And now the question that quite a number of unemployed people who that percentage is quite high in the country would ask is, if I'm not employed, then where do I even start this whole conversation of insurance and making sure that I even have an insurance cover? What use is it? Because for them, they look at it as this is just throwing money that I really need at the moment.
Yeah. I think insurance, the way we look at it, is not an expense. Mm-hmm. It's actually a risk mitigation mechanism. Now, a risk is like eating. You can't say you have thrown your money to a hotel. You are building your body. So insurance, when you look at it as a risk mitigating factor, then whether you are unemployed or you don't have the resources, it means that you're actually in need of insurance. And I'll give you an example. Let's even start with the basic, before even we go to issues of even incurring cost in paying. Take something like even pension, which is an insurance product. I'm sure perhaps you touch about it.
Yes.
everybody will retire at some point in time, or you're required to perhaps retire early, so whether you are employed or not, the day will come where you need, the body cannot support you to earn more money, and you didn't put anything aside. So my question therefore would be that, and I go back and I say, even this unemployed person, perhaps it's seasons. Let's say it's seasons that you don't have a job or you don't have the business. But remember, seasons come and go. There are seasons that you came and you got some little money. Did you even save even a penny for that rainy day? Chances are no. And therefore, I would say is that even for this person, I think this should be a learning curve. That then, with the day then you go back again to gaining moments, please remember to start saving aside. For that day, you never know what can come. And sometimes we lose jobs not because perhaps we wanted to. A normal regulation may come. For instance, I'm in the insurance industry. Bank assurance has come as a distribution model which is competing with us. And because of that, the banks have the manpower, they have the resources. I can find myself as an insurance broker, for instance, being thrown out. Nothing really have done wrong. The Kodak story. You remember the last statement of the Kodak CEO, he said, we did nothing wrong. But you never saw. So circumstances and changes do happen. Yes. So when they do happen for you, in terms of you didn't have a job, but you got one at some point in time, at that point in time, did you even save a little? Okay. Did you take care of your phone? Did you insure it so that if it is lost, remember, especially for the young person that you're talking about, despite not having a job, they have very good phones. Is it insured? If you lose it, it's like you have lost a whole car with its fault. It's your whole industry, because this is what you depend on, both for information and even for earning whatever little that you can.
And even for these young people, as you say, how circumstances really change. When you take a look at 10, 15 years ago, when you mention insurance, the target audience would really be civil servants who, now this is on the backdrop of the people who own these insurance covers, and they're coming to you as a civil servant because they know have some big packs. But then right now the audience is shifting to the young people. But then these young people are turning into the kind of jobs that pay them, that particular day. How should these insurance owners make insurance seem cool to these young people so that they can actually, take it up?
I'll tell you, insurance has gone 360 degrees. Mm-hmm. The days when we used to tell people, if you die today, I must admit that I think our training was also not very good. I mean, you approach me and you knock at my door and you say, if you die today, and of course, because we are Africans, death was something that was a little bit anathema to us. It's a taboo to even mention it, even to talk about it. So I think our training and how we got this into it wasn't very, very, especially for people that we were doing life insurance. But today insurance has really changed in the sense that we have all gone digital. Today, if you want to be saving 100 shillings, 1,000 shillings from the comfort of your couch as a Gen Z, as a millennial, as any other person, it is possible in insurance today. We have given apps and applications and all manner of digital platforms where one can actually be able to save and even know about more insurance and even need it. So we really have gone through 60 degrees in terms of how we did it. Initially, we used to knock at doors. Now we are using TikTok. We are in Instagram. We are all those other digital platforms where young people are. And I think the other problem was that, for instance, something like pension, you could only do it as a scheme. You must be 10 people. Now, even today, 2025, there are very few companies in Kenya. We are an SME economy. A lot of people are actually one man, two men, two women enterprises, which they are still doing very well. Others are working from home. So I think the whole notion, the fact that initially schemes, you could only be a number of people so that you can be able to get cover or get some sort of, even a pension saving, that in a way denied people opportunities to save. That has now completely transformed. We now have personal pension covers as an individual. When you are sitting here, without even knowing, even if it's Mama Mboga, even if it's a housewife and you get some little money perhaps from your whatever you get, you can actually be able now to save.
So it's more efficient. I'm curious.
The platform is now very easy.
What's the feedback? Because you say right now insurance guys are going digital, TikTok and just making sure that the information they give out is in some bit size that young people can actually take it.
Yeah.
But what's the feedback from the young people?
I think from the feedback that I get, because I have Gen Zs and millennials in my own home, I think our products are still not talking to them. Okay. I think there is that sense that we are still not talking to them. And I would say, with this tremendous respect to my industry, which I have really served for over 30 years, the reason I say so is because, fine, I'm now talking about pension. I don't think it's a very nice conversation for a 22, 23, as much as they need it. And that's why I go back to school. If you teach somebody at standard 3, standard 4, there is something called pension. When he's growing, when his mind is grasping things, as he joins the job market, he will remember his topic in financial planning in standard 3 that we were told start early. That because the mind was alert. He will remember, she will remember, I was told start early. There is the power of compounding interest. If I start saving at 22, 23, 24, by the time I'm 40, I actually can stop working and live comfortably. But now you are starting to tell Gen Z at 24, saving. Now he's saying, Chief, I'm not even starting life, right? And you're now telling me to start thinking about retirement because it's the first time he's getting this conversation. Yes. So I think we need to change the whole narrative, right? And know where do we need to start best. I think it's in our training. We understand the value of money at a very early age. You go to a shopkeeper as a young person with 50 cents and tells you, Mommy, he has no a sweetie. So you start knowing there is value between 50 cents and 2 bob. Okay. Because you know, it may be an informal training, but you at least get to know the value of money. When do we start that with insurance? I said past university is when now people will start getting to know about insurances. So I think for me, the conversation needs to really shift, and we look at that. And I will continue saying this, your media must help me until everybody, especially our curriculum, people understands that we cannot grow. The reason why Japan, South Africa you mentioned, are top of their agenda is because these are some of the things that are taught in schools. So you grow knowing the value of saving, putting money aside, saving for to buy your phone, to save, to cover your phone, your car. Some people from Europe, they cannot travel to Africa. In fact, their governments will not allow them to travel without medical cover. It's compulsory. Wherever you get it, but it's compulsory. They cannot even think. Some people, you can even give somebody twice the salary, but perhaps if you don't have the benefits of pension and medical, they will not take that job because they are looking at what will happen when I'll be unable to work. For us, we rush for a job that is giving you XYZ amount without no benefit at all. You can only spend it for so long. When you don't have that job and you didn't save, then what happens?
And these young people, 22, 23, watching us this morning would wonder, yes, I'm not employed. I am actually quite a number of first years are joining this particular week. So they're watching us this morning and they're wondering what kind of insurance. Then I hear you, Mr. Mwang, but then what kind of insurance should I even be taking? Walk us through, for someone who is not employed, they are in the gig economy, for example, and they are looking to probably, get into, insurance. Where do they start?
I think when you're talking about not employed, I want to imagine that you are saying somebody is not having a formal job, but
yes.
But is earning. Okay. Now, I think it is good to love yourself. The Bible reminds us, if I preach this morning, love yourself as you love your neighbor as you love yourself. So it has to start with yourself. So one of the things that I really, really recommend is that it is important that you all have a medical cover. It is so critical. Illness or accidents do not discriminate as to when you can actually be able to fall sick. Fine, as you grow older, perhaps the risk is a little bit more. So a medical cover, therefore, is very important to cater for your costs in the event you go to hospital. Because out of pocket is one of the ways that have been shown that people go broke. Because if then something grows bigger and then you don't have any money, then what happens? You have to sell even the detail that you have. So I think a medical cover is very, very critical. It's also important that they also cover their gadgets, the most valuable assets of most of the economy people is let me not just say the phone, it's the whole age of IT gadgets, be it an iPad and laptops and phone and all that they have. It's very, very critical that they insure it. So that some of them are very expensive. They are as costly as a small Vitz. We've seen phones of 200, 300, 400,000. Now, if you lose that, now, people may even wonder how much would that cost. For a phone of 400,000 shillings, most likely you pay only 30,000 a year, or even less. Okay. And you can even put it together with the rest of your things in the house. So it's actually a very, very, very tiny amount if you compare what you care for. So it is important that you cover yourself. It's also important that you start putting some retro money, that you were saying earlier, some retro money aside for investment. I know people now don't want to hear pension. Then there are things like money market funds, yes, which are also managed by insurance companies. Actually, the major insurance companies today have asset management units within the group.
Yes.
We go to all of them now, they have money market funds where they help you. The beauty with that is that this is well regulated. They are big organizations, so they manage your money well. They have also the reach, so they're able to attract more people. And therefore, if you save 1,000 today, when it hits the insurance company's asset management fund, it's no longer 1,000. It is combined with $1 billion and $1 billion from somewhere else, and it becomes big money. So those are critical issues. The other one that is also important is if as you get into, let's say, family life, it's also good to start thinking of your children. How will they go to school in the event that you are not there, or something ever happens? There is that element of, even if it's necessarily not an education policy, there are education policies that are now linked to also investments. So you need a policy that has both the cover in case anything happens, and also has an element of investment. So as your money is protecting you, your life, then it's also growing in that respect. And we have many products in that category where you can both invest, it saves you, and at the same time it's saving you. Fine, you put all your money in money market, it's growing, but unfortunately, today, if you are not able to go to work and earn the same amount of money that you do, for whatever reason that happens, and things do happen, life happens, that's what they say. Yes. From where you stopped saving, that is where your money will grow to that extent. But if you had a life cover, you first of all, to waive all the premiums and pay a lump sum. If you are unable, for instance, if you become, for instance, critically ill, disabled, or something, the policy will be able to cover you up to that extent and waive all the premiums and give you all the benefits that as if you have been contributing. So there is a need, therefore, to balance, even as we invest, also the need to ensure that there is savings. Right. There is also cover for our lives, because we have said life will happen.
Life definitely does happen. It's 1:30 the hour. We take a short break. We're asking you, do you consider having insurance as a priority in your financial planning? A number of your feedback has started streaming in on our WhatsApp number, 0793 267 279. 22047 is our SMS number. Talk to us when you're doing your budgeting and all that. How much of a priority is insurance? Talk to us right after this particular break. We'll be sampling your feedback as we continue this conversation.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friend.
Welcome back. This is Biashara Tuesday. I'm yours truly, standing in Ringita. This particular morning on Biashara Tuesday, right here at Morning Cafe, we're discussing how you uptaking matters. Insurance is very key, even as you're also doing your planning for your finances. You probably earn, let's say, 50,000. How much of this, how much of the percentage of insurance is taken up in your salary? And you really need to make sure that you hesabu yote mingianas. Don't worry. This morning, we have an expert just for you to analyze and understand your finances. Anthony Mwangi is an insurance expert, has been with us. So, Mr. Mwangi, even as we continue this whole conversation, because before we were talking about young people in the gig economy who don't have formal, kind of employment. But then on the flip side, people who have a formal employment, at the end of the day, they see the slip from what were finances, and the kind of cover, the insurance imekatwa from their salary. Even as they really want to ensure that for matters wealth protection, into their sunset years, how much of my salary and what percentage of my salary should be cut, divert into insurance?
Good. I think that's very, very pertinent question in the sense that one, there is no straight answer yes and no. One, it depends on where you are in life and what you're doing. For instance, if you have been living the first lane of life, you on a 6-digit salary, perhaps that is how you'd also want to retire. Even if not 6, perhaps at 5-digit salary or better. And therefore, as you make your planning, planning for the retirement and for future and everything else, you therefore need to ask yourself. For instance, the law requires us we give 6%, NHIF and whatever NSSF and what have you. But you may want to say no, I don't want to deduct 6%. I think I can afford to live within my means, so I want mine increased to 15% for the next several years. Perhaps, let's say you are a young person at 30 or thereabout. So the kids as you're growing or you are getting into family, so you can actually afford to spend a little bit more. I know that Subaru is waiting somewhere, but you can say, okay, fine, I may not want my Subaru this very year, but I can drive something else. But in the meantime, instead of now having to contribute the compulsory 6% by government, let me my investment be 20%. Now, what that will mean, and especially like I said, now we have very good schemes that are actually compounding your money, is that you put that money today with the belief that if for instance, the inflation rate is 10%, you need therefore to be slightly above the 10%, so that your money is not lost.
Okay.
Therefore, if for instance, we are I think now our inflation rate may be somewhere below 10, it may be about 7 or
yeah, 7 point something.
You need to start contributing at 10%, so that you are above average, above inflation.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you then contribute 5%, it means even in today's economy, your money cannot buy you some things. Therefore, you need to contribute slightly higher, so that as, let's say, there is a bit of a problem in the economy or it improves, you continue growing with that inflation rate. You always make sure that at least you are 1 or 2% above the inflation rate. That way it means that at any given time, even when you are not working, your money will continue being able to take you at exactly the same position you were 5 years ago. But if you have been contributing below inflation rate, then it means now it's 10%, you have been contributing at 5%. You cannot buy the same things that you used to buy 10 years ago or 5 years ago. So I think that should be the kind of the mark, the kind of decision that one need to make. But let's be factual and realistic. Not everybody have that leeway to be able to actually contribute 20%.
Yes.
I would say start where you are.
And I
will start say where you are, because you may then say, since I am now not able to contribute above the inflation costs, then I would rather just then enjoy the money. No. I think start from where you are.
And that's where I was heading, because a number of people watching us this morning, and weekly on Biashara Tuesday, we always tell them, take out your calculator so that you also understand how your finances look like.
Yes.
A majority of people, particularly in the formal sector, either in the private or public sector, would earn rangely between 30,000 up to around 70,000. So someone is taking out the calculator and they're wondering, they have been paid today, let's say gross of about 65,000. So they're wondering, so do I, even after the mandatory insurance has been deducted in HIF, in SSF, now you have, your own private. So do you first off deduct the necessities, rent, such like school fees, and then now insurance comes at the bottom of the list? Or is it vice versa? How do you balance such that at the end of the day, you actually ensure that you've catered for insurance, but you've paid all your dues?
If you ask my advice, not because I have lived it very well, but because I haven't done some of the things that you have asked. I have done them in reverse. I have put insurance at the bottom. At the bottom. I'm now suffering. But in an ideal situation, insurance needs to be at the top. So that you say, if I'm contributing 5%, if I just want to knock off, I've paid my statutories and everything else, I'm being left with 35,000. Let me take 5,000 or 10% of whatever is remaining, 3,500. Whatever now remains, I live within that means. Because the challenge now of putting insurance at the bottom. You can control the house that you want to live in if you don't have enough money. If then you are left only with 32,000, then you now not look for a house of 10,000. Most likely now you look for a house of 8,000 or 7,000. But if you started now with the rent, you first of all start with the one for 15. Then you come to food. Food, you say we'll be eating sausages 3 times in a week, and eggs once a week, and then we'll be going for outing. But if you did the other way around, you first of all save your money. You save your money, let's say you are 5,000, you are now left with 30. Everything else will be compressed. So instead of having sausages 3 times in a week, now we'll be taking 2.
Or even once a month.
Or once a month. I mean, please, it's too long. So therefore, I think it is important that we put priorities right. And I'm saying with tremendous respect. Not necessarily because I am now talking from the benefit of hindsight. Having lived the years that I have lived, if I were to flip the clock backwards today.
How many years back
For many years, on day one, 25% of my earnings would go into savings.
But then now that raises a question of...
And then whatever I'm left with,
okay,
whatever is left, whether it's 10,000 or 100,000, whatever is the balance of whatever I need, then I live within that. It is a question of just the curve merging at some point. Mm-hmm. The life I have denied myself here, most likely and especially in the economy today we are currently. In fact, anybody who is earning money, especially the gig economy, and everything, they are very lucky. We never have used to. I mean, only people with big bucks, 500,000, 5 million and whatever, used to go into the stock exchange, used to go into, buying government bonds, going into, in money markets.
Yeah.
Today, because of consolidation of that as a product that I can, with my 1,000 shillings will be consolidated with one who is giving 20, a million and everything else. And when that person who is having a million is earning 12%, my 1,000 is also earning 12%. Before that, it was not possible. So what that means is that in a period of perhaps 5 years, the 1,000, the 2,000, the 5,000 have been contributing. It will now perhaps have a million, which is earning me 60,000 shillings a year, meaning I have all of a sudden have a passive income of 5,000. So it means I can actually now be able to upgrade my life depending on how much you've saved. If you have saved 5 million shillings, it means you'll be earning 600,000 shillings. You'll be earning 50,000 shillings without doing nothing, even if you stay at work. Mm-hmm. You can see the life you missed 5 years ago. You can quickly grab it back in a very, very short time. The challenge now is we want to live a little bit comfortable now. And in the end, there is a mzee that used to sell newspapers to me when newspapers were so much sold. Mm-hmm. And I kept on asking God, please help me never to get into that life. But unfortunately, that's all what in most of the instances I did. Because that mzee was not less than 80 years old. In fact, buying newspapers for him, I thought I was actually helping him live a life. Because I was wondering, when did this man wake up to go and get for this newspaper from wherever he was getting it? It must have been like 5 o'clock to be at his station at 6 o'clock. Because there may be something that was missed. Had he perhaps lived a little bit more painful at the beginning, he would be at home with his grandchildren at that age.
But and this is a whole word that quite a number of young people, Gen Z, never really like to hear. Living painfully right now so that I enjoy my sunset years. And what they're hearing is, if I have to give out 10% of my insurance so that 10 years later, 20 years later, I'll have actually, saved up for that, then that means right now I have to do an extra job. As much as, yes, you're advising us, getting into the money market funds and saving up there. But then it seems as if young people now need to take up a second job so that they add up to, whatever they're, giving. If probably every month 15,000 is going, to insurance, then I have to look for another, second job to double it up. Will that be the path that we should take?
Well, I think that's a personal decision, but I think with the economy that we have in, and the fact that you can actually work from home, imagine now assuming you're working a physical job from 8 to 5, and let's say you get home to 7, what do you do from 7 to midnight? You could actually take some work at home, behind the scenes and everything else, using your gadgets, and earn yourself 1,000 shillings a day. Our time, we didn't have that opportunity. And even some people now my age are actually grabbing. I'm seeing so many opportunities. Why don't you start advertising some of these goods when you are still at home?
Yeah.
So instead of watching movies from now 7 to midnight and all manner of the other things, why can't it be your TikTok? Why can't it be your TikTok is the one that people are talking about? So yes. Why not? Even a third job, if you can. Of course, there is the element of fatigue and everything. The beauty now with some of these jobs is that if you feel fatigued, you can stop it. Go sleep, relax, take a break for a month. Nobody is. It's not like a normal physical job that we used to have. It's not like a duka, a shop, where you must open the doors and you must be there standing all the time, whether people are coming or not. So I wouldn't mind. Those who actually have the capability and have the talents to be able to do something extra, please do. Americans do that. I'm not saying we lose our fabric of whatever. But I think we have had fun for too long. It is time, I think, we start really making critical decisions about how we spend our time. 24 hours, and I keep hearing this question. 24 hours is a very long time.
Yeah, true.
So if you remove the doctor's prescribed hours of 8 hours,
8 hours and
of
7
sleep
hours.
and what have you, and another 8 hours of sleep, that's 16. Where is the other 8? Where is the other 8? So we can actually afford to have an extra 1 or 2 or 3 hours and still live normal life. Normal life. I know people perhaps who work in their digital world between, let's say, 5, and by the time it is 8 o'clock, they have earned their 2,000-3,000 shillings. They are, they may be a little bit fatigued here and there, then you take a power nap. When we kept on hearing, when I was doing my master's, I kept on, we did a study on some, top, the Fortune 500, some companies that were allowing their employees to be taking a nap in the afternoon for 30 or 45 minutes. And we were laughing, we were not understanding. The moment you take that power nap, it's like it ignites some interesting energy that you can take another 10 hours non-stop. So can we start, can our people in the field of medical and what have you, who can help us, how can our bodies are so resilient. They are they have so much energy. Unfortunately, and that's why you see, I think we are, as a Kenyan nation, where do we spend, and with tremendous respect to the young people, where are we spending there most of our time? Look at every other station in town. Every other club is full. There is so much time. I'm not saying people don't have fun, but it cannot be then the order of the day, day in, day out.
Something else that a number of people, and particularly the young people, are really trying to comprehend when it comes to insurance uptake is the kind of long procedures where I log into insurance cover A and I have to fill in about 10, 15 forms. I have to, sign up on this and this and this. It's a whole long procedure that a number of times, chases most of these people away. You have conversations with the insurance brokers and people in the insurance sector. Can this really be, streamlined to be, a seamless kind of registration and getting into this insurance?
Yes, the answer is yes, quickly. The answer is yes. I'll give you an example of a cover we call travel cover. Travel cover, it's just one pager, one. And the number of areas, we just ask you your name, your passport ID, and in fact, once we capture it in our database, the next time you come, we'll not even ask you for you again. And by the time you fill that thing in under a minute, it completely comes with a policy document. Policy document is the contract between you and us. So it is possible, and we are doing it. I'll give you also another example of a motor vehicle. Today, we are not asking you to come all the way from Thika to Nairobi to go and come and pick your cover. We are able to send it to you on phone. So I think we are digitizing a lot of our services and a lot of our processes, and I must admit, yes. But let's also remind the listener that because this is a contract, there are some elements that we cannot be able to ignore. So there may be still an element that you need to fill, certainly not the 10, 15 pages anymore. That time is because we needed to know, or there is a very cardinal principle of insurance called material disclosure. If you don't disclose, for instance, if I don't ask you, how are you using your car for? Right? I just get the details of your car and you say, I have a Subaru. I don't know why I'm laughing with a Subaru, or any other car for that matter. And then that I don't ask you, are you using this car for personal use or for hire and reward? Let's say as a taxi or whatever else that you can use it for. And then something happens and I didn't ask you. It is now a question of your word against mine. Then I will say, you shouldn't have used the car for taxi. Then you'll be asking me, but you never asked me. So there are some questions that are cardinal and they must be asked because we want to know. Even when I came here, you had to put me some gadgets so that I could be able to speak to you. Otherwise, I would have come here and then we'll be saying, please, a little bit louder because you can't answer me. So there may be a few processes, but what is, I can assure our listener is that it is not how it used to be before. And then therefore, because again of digitizing a lot of our services, once we capture your database, when you come now next time, we don't have to repeat, which was the case. We have to again ask your name, your PIN number, your KRA number, but now we have captured them. There is also now requirements, and this is where perhaps I need also to let our listeners know. In fact, we are now have a little bit of more forms we are filling in. Today, we need you to fill a form and sign a form, although now a lot of it is standard, called data protection form.
Yes,
because
yes.
now again, we also need to know whether we can disclose your information. For instance, if it's medical, do I disclose your information to a laboratory or something? So there may be one or two other forms that we may ask you to sign, but they are not complicated at all. In fact, in most of those ones, the information is standard, or what we ask you is to sign. So yes, we have compressed a lot of that information because data and all that, and has, you know, the platforms and the digitization and the IT improvement and technological advancement have enabled us now to compress a lot of information and store a lot of it. So I don't think really now we would have to take people in the wrong range of questions that we used to do.
Right.
But we were doing that to be able to ensure that we understand you, we know you, and we allow you to disclose as much as possible. If we don't do that, then something happens. Of the camera, I was telling you, if you, for instance, say I have a TV, it could be a 200-inch TV, and there could be somebody else insuring a 29-inch TV, 20-inch TV. So if you don't describe fully what make it is, and it comes to the point of settlement, what TV do I pay you? Okay. I may choose the smaller one because it's less costly. Yeah. But then you'll be telling me, but mine is the big one.
Mine is the big one, yeah.
But I didn't know. So I think because of that, there are some information that we could, and even now we cannot completely do away with, but certainly not the 10, 15 pages anymore.
And that definitely speaks on the negative perception that the population has had over the years on matters insurance. This is a final question, even as I'll be now taking feedback in your last thoughts. And this conversation comes at a very interesting time. Yesterday, on the front page of the Standard, it had a screaming headline, "Insurance Ripoff," basically showcasing how in different counties there has been the insurance ripoff, and this leaves a very bad taste among the public, and mostly with the county government workers who depend really on this, county government. And when you even extrapolate the whole conversation to workers who are depending on this kind of insurance, but then at the end of the day, they hear and they see some of these conversations of rip-off, this negative perception really stays with them. From the whole side of people who own these insurance companies and are hoping that people actually uptake this, and even from the government side, how should we really mend this?
Let me first of all say insurance is one of the most highly regulated businesses in this country. Highly regulated. Nothing that we do that is not regulated, including the amount of money that I earn as an insurance broker. There is, right now we have a conversation with our regulator. I cannot even earn some beyond a certain amount that is prescribed by law. Doesn't matter how hard I have worked. So it's a very highly regulated work. I think in my very honest and profound, with tremendous respect to yesterday's headline, I think there was a little bit of, I wish they went a little bit further to tell us who are these people, because showing figures of 176 million from this particular county. Now, for us as insurance companies, we have given them the cover.
Okay.
And we have quoted for them. And I would want to hear any particular county that they have a medical cover that was given by an insurance company that is not meeting its obligations. Because like I said, we are highly regulated. However, they need to ask their bosses. Perhaps in their books, they paid us 176,000, but in their books they put 400,000. If the story from the president yesterday to the readers is anything to go by, I don't want to get into that politics, but that just tells you perhaps the moral fabric of our leadership. Mm-hmm. As an insurance company, industry, we are doing the best that we possibly can. We also the insurance company coming up and saying that they have removed some facilities from our panel of the service providers, where we thought that they are actually charging a little bit more than we can actually afford. Because we were saying, if we go that direction, we have to add more money to our customers. So we are actually customer-centric as an industry. Right. I'm talking generality. I'm not saying there are no bad eggs, and I think the bad eggs are all over in the industry. Okay. But to a great extent, This is not yesterday's business of insurance.
Okay.
This is a highly, highly capitalized business.
Right.
You cannot put your billion shillings there. We are also IFRS now compliant and many, many other compliances, including now data protection and anti-money laundering and all those other issues.
Yeah.
So there are many, many laws that are actually curtailing the things that anybody would want to do in the industry. However, I'm not saying there may not be deals between different whatever, but unfortunately the newspaper gave it like it's a wholesome and this is what happens in our industry.
Well said.
To the contrary, there is a lot that actually we are paying, and if you look at the amount of money that we are paying the insurance companies, the amount of money we are paying the garages, in fact, the people who get ripped off are the insurance company, because we have no control at the hospitals. We have no control at the garages if they decide to do that. And I'm not saying they do so, but there are some, and I think the case of one of the largest providers, the fact that insurance companies were to say, so we can't afford you. Please, let's, and you can see now discussions are being held. That goes to tell you that we are very conscious of the customer, because we could only then have said, if you want to continue going to this particular institution, then pay us more money. But we thought it is not possible.
Right.
That service can also be given across many other facilities. So why then do we have to force you to pay more money? So we are very, very conscious of the amount of money that we charge people. However, but I would want to say this perhaps as I had that point. The reason why sometimes people find medical a little bit expensive is that the pool is not large enough. If all of us can actually be able to partake in insurance, then you can see that insurance comes down. It's like the old cliche and the old principle of the economies of scale. The more people are, the less in terms of payments. But now we only have a very small pool of people who then have to sustain this industry.
And this definitely calls for civic
absolutely
knowledge. Even as you give us your final remarks, speak on that as well, then we finish it off.
I would say I think the whole issue of financial planning and insurance are intertwined, and they are very, very critical. There is need actually for us as an industry working together with our stakeholders, particularly the curriculum developers, like I said at the beginning, to start thinking whether we can be able to take insurance education a little bit down the line all the way to secondary and primary schools. Let people start appreciating what insurance is all about, so that by the time people start. Today, as a nation, we are not a good saving nation as in terms of pensions and what have you. So it's because people don't appreciate. They start coming into the industry, into the insurance at a very late stage, even medical. Perhaps now when you start getting family 30, 35 or whatever is when now you start thinking, hey, I need to have my medical cover. Had you started earlier, it would perhaps even be cheaper, and then you'll have your history better, and perhaps you can even be able to negotiate. So my take is that let's take this gospel on insurance and the whole issue of financial planning and how they intertwine to a new level, all the way down to our school curriculum, so that people can understand what insurance is all about. And then also to urge people is that I think we have changed as an industry. There is a lot of, if you go now to our website and all Mitandaos, you will actually be able to see a lot of insurance and what insurance is doing. And then you can actually now be able to compare different platforms, different offerings by insurance companies. Initially, you could only rely on perhaps what you know, but now all information and a lot of information in terms of even comparisons, you can be able to get it even online now. So we cannot afford to hide anymore, not that necessarily we used to, but I think it's because people didn't understand. Today, if you ask ChatGPT and Google and everybody else, they can break it down some of those languages. And lastly to say, we have also reduced the legalese in insurance. If you look at the motor insurance, for instance, we have gone to what we call plain language, wording of policies, so that we have removed a lot of legalese. Of course, a lot still remains, but we are continually improving on even the language that we are using so that people can be able to understand.
Right.
So let's take insurance and start early.
Thank you very much, Anthony Mwangi, insurance expert. In case you're wondering what legalese is the legal terms used in insurance covers. The question that we're asking you, do you really consider insurance as a priority when you're doing your financial planning? Just as Iwangu says, I guess it is, especially if you have a family. Someone says, Tony says, well, for me, it is mentally, but then physically not yet. This conversation definitely continues on our social media platforms right here on Biashara Tuesday, discussing matters finances. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyoringita. Coming up next is a whole rerun of State of the Nation as Fred Ndemoli engages with Professor Fred Ogola and Embakasi North Member of Parliament, Embakasi North Member of Parliament as well. Stay kit right here on Morning Cafe.